Eric Weiss, thank you for joining us for this edition of Quant Corner. How do you see the repeal of SAB 121 impacting the broader Bitcoin market, particularly in terms of price appreciation for Bitcoin?
Thanks for having me. Yeah, this is a really big deal. I think it's difficult to overstate just how significant this is. SAB 121 ostensibly said that it didn't say banks can't custody crypto, but it made it virtually impossible for them to do it because in order to custody any crypto for a customer, they had to hold in reserves an equal amount, of another asset, cash, right? So if you want to custody $1 billion of Bitcoin for a client, you have to hold $1 billion in cash on your balance sheet. And the Bitcoin that you hold is considered a liability, and the asset is not really considered an asset for like accounting standards in banking. So it was purely punitive, right? Expanding the balance sheet, screwing up all their ratios. So no bank was going to do that. That was the intention of it from the SEC, was to stop banks from custodying crypto. And then what happened was Congress took this up in the United States and said, we don't think this is fair. Banks want to custody crypto. And what people anticipated happening was that the Democrats would vote in line with the SEC and the administration and uphold SAB 121, and the Republicans would vote to repeal it. But that's not what happened at all. What happened was the Democrats voted to repeal it as well, mainstream Democrats like Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi types. And this kind of blew people's minds. And it got to Biden's desk, and Biden vetoed it. And Trump saw this, and he saw the outrage over this, and that there were tens of millions of people in the United States who were fairly single issue voters who were outraged by this and realized there were millions of votes to be pro-crypto, no votes to be against it. And that was the catalyst for Trump really coming on board. But specifically to your question, the beauty of this is now that SAB 122 has come in, which ostensibly repeals SAB 121, it means that banks can now custody crypto. And that is a massive, massive catalyst for the price appreciation in Bitcoin and other digital assets. And the reason is, I use the example of residential real estate. What would the price of residential real estate in the United States be if you couldn't get a mortgage on your home, right? If you can't borrow against an asset, the price of the asset stays low. Once banks will custody your assets, your crypto assets, you will be able to borrow against them. You may be able to receive interest on them. That's what banks do, right? So it's a massive, massive catalyst. I think there'll be a lag. Custody of digital assets in a secure way is not something that banks can flip a switch and do. So, there'll be a period of, 12 to 36 months where we go up this curve and more banks start custodying.
Right. You can really see how that could relieve sell pressure in the short term going forward. What are your thoughts on how this repeal will influence the role of traditional financial institutions in the Bitcoin custody space?
Traditional finance wants in on crypto, period. The cynical person would say traditional finance missed the crypto wave, and then the way they got back into it was slam a whole bunch of regulation against the space, knock it down, and add some complexity for compliance that only they're in a position to do. And now they kind of not own the industry, but they have a significant role in the industry. So I think what we're going to see the next chapter is we're going to see a lot of crypto native custody solutions get acquired by banks and financial institutions, because growing your own takes time, money, and expertise. And so they're going to find ones that are out there and they're going to gobble them up. And then, tomorrow XYZ Bank will be able to offer custody because they acquired, one of the players in this space.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what that process looks like and what strategies they deploy. What do you anticipate will be the next regulatory or policy steps following the repeal of SAB 121, especially under the current administration?
Yeah, so I don't think it's going to pertain to Bitcoin. Regulation and policy, generally what you want is clarity. And we have clarity on Bitcoin. So all you want really, good regulation, is tell me the rules of the road and then get out of the way and then enforce the rules of the road. So once Bitcoin got the ETFs, we crossed that regulatory chasm into legitimacy that can't be taken back in the United States. Bitcoin is, subsequently in the hands of pension funds, endowment funds, retirement accounts. not putting that genie back in the bottle, right? So that was the significance of the ETF, was crossing that regulatory chasm. So I don't think we're going to see too much on that front. However, you've got all these other digital assets, be they crypto securities, cryptocurrencies, tokens, utility tokens, et cetera. And what we're going to see next is a framework, I think, under David Sachs and this crypto council. David is the right guy for this, very knowledgeable, been in the space a long time, very pragmatic. I'm excited to see what he does. And I think the logical way forward is for someone to lay out the rules of the road. This is how you become a legitimate, crypto security. This is how you become a legitimate crypto commodity, et cetera. And then once existing projects and new projects can follow those paths to legitimacy and compliance, then I think you're going to see institutional capital really come flowing into the space.
Awesome. Eric Weiss, thank you for joining us on Quant Corner. This is Bitcoin Center.
So you've heard Bitcoin is the new gold rush by now. As world leaders on all sides have endorsed it as the future of money, and now you're looking to get started, we'll show you how. It's actually easier than you think. First, go to your nearest Byte Federal ATM and turn your cash to coin. Byte Federal has over 1,200 locations around the country with the highest daily limits. Go to our website, bytefederal.com, to find the nearest ATM to you. Log in to any wallet, then create an account, deposit your US cash, and instantly convert it to Bitcoin. That's it. We are the only US manufacturer and operator in the Bitcoin ATM industry, and our US-based live customer service is second to none. Go on, give it a whirl, and don't get left behind. Click the link below.